YouTube, it's Brian Phillips again. It's been a long time coming, but we have a new strange package, and we're opening it right now. First, you have to cut through the thick layer of tape that Banggood puts around the garbage bag they ship it in. And then secondly, you have to rip it open like a kid on Christmas morning. Oh, it's so cool. Look at this. It's a 787 aircraft. Uh-oh, stuck. Get off of there. Uh-oh, I'll have to get permission.
Nope.
It smells like some sort of an unidentifiable foam, which is always good. Those are the types of smells I like. Oh, that is a beautiful picture. Almost looks like something they got off of Google. Wonder if they got rights to that. This is another aircraft. It's very similar to this aircraft. This is well, they call it the A380. This one here is supposed to be a 787, which it looks to be that they superimposed it onto the tail. So we're gonna find out. It's 550 millimeters wide and 445 long. It is 62 grams, okay guys? So those of you wondering about the legality of flying this in North America, if you're in the United States, you don't need to do the drone registry. So that's why it's good. Okay, so we're gonna open this. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I can already tell it's gonna be a good one. Oh yeah. And the box is empty. Information, fancy. Oh man, this one is really pretty. Oh, the wings are gonna be flexy. Uh-oh. That is not a mistake, actually, guys. There's a bump there. That bump is a molding. Oh, that is really cool. And you'll notice it's straight and not some weird wonky. There's a bit of dihedral in it, just like it would be. That's awesome. This is a little bit weird. Check out these joysticks, Megan.
What?
That just doesn't seem correct, but maybe it is correct. Okay, so we got some engine nacelles, just gonna be 2 of those. Doesn't look like they're gonna be super aerodynamic, but that's okay. These things have the dihedral angle on the top. That'll tell you which way they go. Looks like they're gonna need to be glued. Okay, so this is supposed to be a ready-to-fly aircraft. Well, this is interesting. It's supposed to be ready to fly. So where's all the stuff? Well, I guess we'll find out in the unboxing. Okay, so tissue paper around the fuse. Okay, so there it is. Feels like it's stuck. And it was a little bit stuck to my decal there. I should just push it down and it's fine. Okay, so it comes with 2 batteries. That's pretty sweet. Pretty sure you're not supposed to fly with both of those packs in there. But they're taped in, guys. Okay, that's weird. Are you supposed to fly with both? That seems very strange to me. I'm getting a little bit concerned. Okay, second wing. Pretty sure they don't ride aircraft on the real ones.
Well, I want you to be confused.
Okay, so there's obviously no carbon fiber spar on that. Let's go to a light. Let's go do the light test. Is there any carbon spar in there?
Nope, not that I can see.
Okay, so no spars. So this is an XK product, and this is, I don't know if this is an XK product. I'm pretty sure it's not. It looks like they might have had a swing and a miss on the nose, but you can always play with that a little bit and get it exactly right. The elevator appears to be locked in the full up position, which is a little bit strange. There's a plug right there that would normally go into the controller, and which is where I'm concerned, guys, because I don't see a controller. Vertical tail, vertical stabilizer, sticks in there nicely. I'm just testing to see how the wing box looks. I'm just kind of stuffing these cables down here. Okay. Oh looks pretty good actually. Let me get this one on here. We'll just kind of see what it looks like. If you don't slide it all the way in, there's a sizable gap that you'll get and it looks pretty bad. Hold on a second. What is going on here, guys? See, that sits on there, should cover it up. Then this one goes underneath. It should line up really super easy, but I'm evidently doing something not quite right. Okay, there we go. Oh, fit right in. That's the profile. It's got a good dihedral on it. Looks pretty much correct. The elevator being pulled way up like that looks kind of dumb. But I'm a little concerned here, guys, because it doesn't seem very ready to fly yet. So, came with a charger and batteries. This is a charger, guys. It's got the low C connector on it. So it goes something like this into the charger. And this here is a 3.7, 300 milliamp hour. So it's a 1S, one cell in series. And there's something missing from this model still so far. Oh, that looks awesome. That looks really cool. There's something missing from here.
Is there stuff?
Ah, there it is, guys. So this is evidently ready to fly, sort of ready to fly. Don't forget to flip the box over because there's a bunch of crap in here. You see all this? This is how you assemble it.
What is that?
It's all the pieces. So this comes with the landing gear, which are much smaller than the XK one. Has the, gosh, I forget what they call these things, but they go on the back of the nacelle here. Which, they look really cool. Look at those. That's neat. And then of course the front of the nacelle, it's gonna simulate the blades on the turbine. Okay, so that will stick on there like that.
That looks nice.
It does look nice, but it's a lot of extra weight.
Yeah.
So, and then there's what appears to be some sort of a nacelle adapter. Oh, it goes on the front of the wing. They're molded, so they're only gonna fit one way. And no, those aren't missile rails. They go on the front of the nacelles. So then as you assemble this, you've got something to glue it all together with. And then sandwich it in like this, okay? So that looks pretty sweet, actually. I like the way that looks. Looks really nice. And then these are what you would put in to receive your landing gear, okay? So it's a flat little piece. And those things just get pressure fit with glue into these sockets here. And then from there you can slide your landing gear that are extremely light into these spots. There's actually a different one for the nose gear, it looks like. This one must be, that was actually a wing. That's a wing one, guys. You gotta pay attention to that, sorry. I'm actually just gonna grab it out with the landing gear itself. So pay special attention. It looks like the nose gear is got a spring on it. And then the ones that go into the wings kind of stick at an angle like this. So, all right, let's see what we got here. This is the motors and the propellers. I didn't realize I was gonna have to assemble this, guys. I can't comprehend of a time when it would make sense to have such an assembly. Although I actually am not super put off by it. I just kind of wish I would have realized it at the time when I ordered. For me, this is a pretty straightforward process. Okay, so this is labeled as R for right. Now remember, put that plane so that it's going away from you, and then the right wing is the right wing, okay? You can also kind of tell because the molding will likely fit one way and not the other. Okay, so it looks like it's gonna go this way, and then it'll glue in like that, and then you can just chase that line in to the controller, which will be in here. So that's pretty straightforward stuff. And then there's, whoa, look at that. There's Boeing stickers on it. There's Boeing stickers. I guess they don't want to actually apply those at the factory for fear of a copyright violation. But one way or another, it's a beautiful model. It's very nice looking. And for being ready to fly, you'd think that they would maybe include some glue for those of you who don't have like gobs of other glue. Here's the controller. Isn't that amazing, guys? What they can do with one little board.
It's pretty crazy.
Look at that. So you've got basically 2 ailerons, or they're not ailerons in this case. There's whatever those are and whatever those are. And then there's that, which is your elevator. And the only reason I know that's the elevator is because it has this longer plug, like this. Now this thing is going to go between the wings. And I think it's probably going to go right here. Nope, it's not. It's going to go here. Going to be sandwiched in there. So let's see what the instructions say. If you haven't ever gotten one of these planes, they come with a variety of different types of chargers. I say these types of planes meaning inexpensive, entry-level sort of planes, but this evidently isn't an XK product because I thought it was an XK product, but it's not. It's a Chinese knockoff of a Chinese knockoff. So here's the manual. So it's called a QF-008. It's a 3-channel model airplane. Forbidden, forbidden, forbidden. Okay. So it tells you how to do all this stuff, guys. It's supposed to come with glue. Didn't come with glue. So there's the instructions. So there's evidently LED lights. I think the LED lights are going to be this. Or maybe there's a control on the board for LED lights. But for now, that connector is red, so it goes into the red connection point. And then this connector is white, so it goes into the white connection point. So I'm not sure what the blue ones do, but those might be for LEDs if you added LEDs. So in going through the manual, if you wasted your time reading this Chinese manual, I'm sure you could figure it out really quick. This must be how you bind it. Pull the sticks in like this. Yeah, doesn't look like much. So what we're gonna do is I guess we're gonna go get some glue and assemble this thing. I didn't realize I had to assemble it, but we're gonna do that right now. And it's gonna take a few minutes and then we're gonna fly it.
Do you want to start charging the battery while
charging
we're assembling?
the battery. Our camera crew has brought to my attention a major flaw in my plan. And that is we're gonna charge this thing. Now, I'll show you something here. One thing you gotta be careful about when you go from brand to brand is that you would think that these low-C connectors and all the different small 1S connectors, 2S connectors and all that are gonna be wired up the same. For the most part, that's true, but every once in a while, you'll get burned. And here's how we're gonna check. We're gonna take one from an XK product, and we're gonna hold it up to the low-C that they used, and we're gonna see that the pins are the same. The red is going to the same side. And then we're gonna check another one. This is a 2S. Or actually, that is still a 1S, it's just a lot bigger. It's a 700 milliamp. And then we're gonna check another one. Okay, so they do follow the standard, so that's good. Also, what's good about this is if you have one of the XK products, you can charge it through their charger, okay? There is no output on here. It doesn't tell you how much it's charging and what rate it's charging at. So just keep in mind, if you are charging a 1S pack at 1 times, then you'd be charging at 300 milliamp hours, so 0.3 amps, okay? 1,000 milliamps is 1 amp, okay? Milli means 1,000, okay? So in this case, assuming this is the same as all the rest of them, which is an assumption, then you should be able to charge them on these. But I wanted to show you this. I always show you this in these videos. This is a Samsung charger from a cell phone going to a USB a USB-A, just like your standard USB port, okay? And what this puts out is 5.3 volts at 2 amps, okay? So that's a decent amount of power. This old Kodak charger with a USB-A port on it, this is from an old camera from like 1992, maybe not that old. That's 5 volts at 1 amp. So this is putting out 2.5 times as much power as this, okay? The reason that people kill these little batteries is twofold. One, they don't use them and they sit forever. They let them discharge just through osmosis. It's not actually osmosis, but anyway, just hear me out. The second way they do it is they discharge really fast when they're flying. But the third and most common is they charge them too fast. They're using a very high speed charger and they will not necessarily catch them on fire, although you can do that if you're not careful. They will charge them too quick and the chemistry gets thrown off in this LiPo, okay? So that's why we're gonna use the crappy slow charger. And we're gonna use a provided charger just to prove that it works. Plug it in there. If you're not used to doing this, go ahead and plug it in first. I'm gonna show you how you do this. These low C connectors are a little bit deceiving because you see how there's those 2 tabs? Those tabs actually slide in on the bottom like that. You see that? And then it clicks in. If you force it backward, you could probably get it to go, and you will find out it's backward when it starts blowing smoke all over your living room. Preferably do it on a hard surface. We got, this is granite, so if it would burst into flames, we just damage the top of the granite, we could wipe it off. But just be careful. I'm gonna plug this in, let this charge. There's a little red light. You wanna show them the little red light. So the little red light comes on. That indicates that it's charging. When that little red light is no longer lit, then your battery is charged and ready for use. Let them charge, resist the temptation to throw this thing in the air. First of all, it's not glued together. It's not gonna fly well. Second of all, the battery's not charged. It's gonna be a short flight. So we will come right back when we get some glue in hand. Okay guys, so we're back with some assembly instructions on this, so you don't have to read the Chinglish manual. Okay, so when you open the back of this battery cabinet, on the remote control, you find out that you need 3 AA's, okay, so ready to fly. Much like many of the Chinese phraseology, ready to fly is sort of loose terminology. Like, what did they say, beginner players are okay for this?
Beginner or advanced?
Yeah, players.
Players.
So there's sticks that come in here, which is sort of nice. So the way you put those on is you just stick them on there, and then you've got a little bit longer joysticks for when you're playing your game. And then there's an on switch here, okay? So drop and rise, not really sure what that does. I think it probably makes it go up and down, makes me a little nervous. Okay, I have glue. This is glue. You'll note that I wrote opened on it. This is a foam glue. This is another foam glue I have. This is called mucilage. I get that at Hobby King. I would give you links on Amazon, but I don't think there is any. This stuff is awesome. It doesn't last forever. If you get this, you open it, 6 months later, it's gonna be dried out. So just use it. And if you get 6 months, if you're lucky. This I opened in August 24th of 18, so it's probably on the edge of not working. Sometimes if you heat up water and you set this in the water, then it will loosen up. So just so you know, this is kicker or accelerant. This is called Instaset. It's a Bob Smith Industries product. That would be used with a foam safe CA, cyanoacrylate. I never say it that way, but it's just CA, okay? This is not a foam safe, okay? Part of what we're gonna do today is we'll go ahead and test for you. I will guinea pig this plane with regular non-foam safe. You can tell if it's strong enough if you can smell it when it comes out. Also, you can tell by tipping the bottle, and you can see that it goes to the edge. So we're gonna start by doing something superficial to see if this stuff is going to eat itself away. The other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at which wing's which. This is the left wing, okay? Imagine the plane were facing out from me. My right hand is here, so this is the right wing. So I have the right motor needs to go here. And so we don't wanna glue that first, because if we don't get that right, it's gonna ruin the plane, okay? And then this will hopefully be the right engine to sell. You can tell because it lines up like this, okay? So So we're gonna test here. That's where we're gonna do our test. That's a glued surface. So we'll just do a couple of small drips. A little bit goes a long way, plus it keeps the weight down. But see, that's a painted surface, so it won't eat it. It'll eat up here. Okay, so we're just gonna stick that on there. I don't see it eating anything yet. So now you'll notice I'll use my kicker a little bit different than spraying. I'm just gonna take and drop that, just like that. Just gonna dip the stick down into the liquid and then drip it. And it's gonna wick around. And you can tell immediately it will eat foam. And you can smell when the reaction's done, it'll stop smelling. I mean, you don't wanna sit around and sniff glue. Like me. But for now, it doesn't seem to be eating it, which is good, because sometimes when the Chinese manufacturers say it's EPO or EPS or whatever, they kind of fudge a little bit.
But you would know right away. Like if it was going to do it, it'd be obvious.
It'd be obvious because it would like cease to exist.
Oh, okay.
So, and it might even smoke sometimes.
Well, that's fun.
Even on foam safe CA, the chemical reaction sped up by using kicker. So just be aware. Okay, so now that that's on there, this little plastic is gonna go on top and it's gonna go down like that, okay? Now, I suppose that would be technically optional, but I'm gonna do it just because I want the extra strength. I would like it to fly a little bit lighter, but I want you guys to see how this product's gonna work since this is a review after all. Okay, so we just did a little bit along the edge, and we'll just stick this down and slip it onto its resting spot, okay? And that's all there is to it. It's very simple stuff, guys. I'll probably spend 5 minutes building this, and I'm just doing the exact same thing I did before, which is taking the kicker and I just run it around the edge. And then anywhere where the glue comes out, it will start reacting, and then it kind of sucks it into the glue, okay? So you hardly need any. Then you have this on there and it's very sturdy, okay? The other way you can tell if this is gonna eat your foam is if they give you any spare parts that have to, you know, be broke off. Sometimes you'll run into plugs. You can pull a plug out of a servo plug a lot of times, and then you can test on there. Now there's also a hole here, and I did some looking while we were off camera, and all these things are the same if you look at them close. This is where the landing gear get received. You don't want to glue this whole thing shut, okay? Because you don't want glue to go in the middle there. It won't work very good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a dab of glue here and just a dab of glue there, and then just a little bit on the bottom. This will be fine, and then I'm going to actually put kicker into the opening. Just a little teeny bit, and then when they get together, they're going to, whew, man, it's going to be like Baby City. Okay? So then that will set up, and that's going to be totally fine. Now, if you were going to go the mucilage route or the regular Chinese like rubber cement route, that's what I like to call it, then you would do the same thing, but you're going to add a little bit more weight, and usually you want to take and apply some of this and then squish it together with its mating part, and it'll start to string up, and then you stick it down one last time, and that thing will be there forever. You'll never get it apart, seriously. So, all right, so we got the right motor here. It says R as in right. And so we're gonna hold that there. We're just gonna do, now that we know that it's not gonna like eat the airplane, we can go ahead and do a little bit on there. And then we're gonna actually put the kicker on this side of the plastic. If you were super concerned, this is like a really critical application, then what you could do is you could take and, you could actually scrape that up a little bit with like a knife, an X-Acto knife or a utility knife or sandpaper. Scuff it up, it'll give it a little more contact points. I can tell you right now, that thing is gonna be, this thing doesn't have very much torque on it. So, I mean, you can tell it's already done. That's why I love CA, okay? So now you see this wire? This wire needs to chase through this cavity here, okay? So now, this is just little BP advice from yours truly. You may not do this, but I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna go one little teeny drip right there. This, you could tape this too, but I just prefer this because then it's like a semi-permanent solution. And then here in about 2 or 3 seconds, you're not gonna have to mess with that again. And then the tape, it just adds one more thing to pop off all the time. Come on now. And yes, blowing on it doesn't help, but it just makes me feel better. So it's all in my head, guys. So now I'm going to take this where it's glued down and I'm going to flatten those two wires together to make the lowest profile possible. And you'll notice that I stuck my thumb straight into the CA, so now I've got this residue on my thumb. Well, what we're going to do is when I'm all said and done with this project, I'll go and grab some acetone from my wife's, you know, like fingernail polish remover. And then I will actually take and wipe that off, that little teeny bit that I got on my thumb. Okay. I'm actually not blowing it to dry it, I'm moving the product around. Lick your finger and spread it out, and that's another way. And then always have a paper towel handy, just in case you make a mess on yourself. Advice for life. Okay, so this wing is done. Oh, except the nacelle. We gotta put the nacelle beautification on. So if you chose to leave this off, it would fly a little bit lighter, which is generally good, but I'm just afraid it's gonna throw off the CG. So this one's super simple. There is what appears to be like almost a key point on the bottom, and I don't really see a spot where it keys, so it's probably just in the molding process. So I'm just going to run around the lip of this, just get a little teeny bit of CA, and I'm just going to plop it on there. It's not super critical, it's all superficial, and it is pretty cool though. And if you think about it, where those mold separation parts are, try to get those where you want them. Okay, I'm not even gonna use kicker on that. It's just not necessary. Okay, so then this thing is the same thing, but you have to be a little bit strategic about the way you plan this, because you're gonna have to put this through with glue on it and then slip it onto that spot, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and...
Could you put glue on the...
Yeah, you could,
part?
camera crew, but
Sorry.
it's
You
kind
like
of
to
hard to
live
tell
dangerously.
exactly where it's
true.
going to end up.
That's true.
Okay, so you see what I'm catching is just that little teeny bit of plastic. This is probably like one of those models where I get done building it and it says Snap-on the box. Okay, so I'm going to wipe up that glue. There's just a little teeny bit that got on the edge. The last little bit, I'm going to actually put it on my finger and then wipe it onto the paper towel. Like I said, I'm not afraid of getting a little teeny bit of CA on there, but just don't do that.
How do you know?
I've glued myself together many times. So the other thing is, when you look at a motor, they go counterclockwise by default. Sometimes there's a counter rotating motor that will be run. That's going to push your plane forward. Okay, now keep in mind these are differential thrust aircraft. So it's possible that they did counter-rotating, but I kind of doubt it because it would cost a lot to have a counter-rotating operation. And these things are just not a super expensive toy airplane. It is counter-rotating. Okay, so they do have a counter-rotating, which is why they labeled them differently. Okay, cool. Well, I stand corrected. Okay, next step, we're going to go ahead and put in the nose gear. Since we've showed you how to build the wing, it's exactly the same on the other side. This one we're going to go a little heavier on the outside, and then we're just going to slide that in there just so that it fills that whole vacancy there. And then this time I'm just going to go without any kicker. I'm just going to sink that until I see the glue start to kind of come around the edge. And then I just dabbed it so I got that little excess out. Okay? So we'll just leave that there, ready to rock and roll. We also need to glue the vertical stabilizer in. Don't glue the stabilizer, glue where it's going into so that you don't track glue along the edge. So we'll just get that on the bottom surface and then just kind of like slop it into the sides. That's a lot of CA actually. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have done quite so much. So we're going to leave that for just a second, and then we're just going to get a little teeny bit of kicker in and around where it's going to be the deepest point of penetration, because then when I ram it in there, it's going to spread it everywhere. Okay, so we got that in there, and then just sight down the length of the fuse, and then just make sure you're getting it pushed in. So that's going to be totally rock solid. It's going to be huge. So we'll just leave that there. Then the next wing, we will go ahead and assemble in like manner, and we will come right back. Okay guys, so we're done with the left wing. I ran into some problem getting the glue to want to bond to hold the wire down, so I ended up just using a small piece of regular Scotch tape. This happens to be like a really clear variety, and it's super sticky. I like it. So anyway, there's your wing done. We found this mysterious device in here, and this is a propeller
Replacer.
Yep. So what you do is you stick that in there, and it pries against the motor, and then you can peel this off without actually damaging your motor. So I've never had a problem taking the props off, but if you're gonna have problems with that, let this up. So anyway, you've got that there, and it does come with 2 spare props. Keep in mind, they are gonna be counter rotating. So if you look closely, guys, if they're side by side, they look different. So take note of which one's which, okay? This says R and this one says L. It says right on the inside where the shaft is. Okay, so if you lose one, or if they pop off in flight and you happen to mysteriously find them in the grass or whatever, then you'll know which one came off. And then I was just gonna show you this. I got some glue on my thumbs and then a little bit of blue. And if you guys have never done this, if you don't work with CA, this is just run-of-the-mill, 100% pure acetone, but I doubt it's actually 100% acetone. Don't get this on your wife's countertops. Soak it into a ball like this, and then you can just wipe. The CA will come off. It takes a second. Keep in mind, this is designed for cleaning off fingernails and things like this. So you don't want to like eat it. You don't want to like put it on a cut. If you put it on a cut, it will hurt a lot. For those of you who work with X-Acto knives and stab themselves, then you'll know exactly what I mean, just like I do. It hurts a lot. So when you get that done, and you'll notice if you get a lot of CA on your fingers, it may not bother you, but for me, it's always the next day. I'm in the shower and I'm scrubbing, and then it's really sharp, and you feel it scraping you, and it hurts. So sometimes it breaks off in the soap, and then it scrapes you, and it hurts. So the idea is just get it off of your skin. And the best thing to do is to avoid getting it on your skin. But this stuff does work really good. And if you get glued together, swallow your pride and go ask for help, and then get this stuff. They have a degluing agent that they sell. Bob Smith Industries sells a product. I have it. It has never worked, not even once, but it has managed to eat many a planes. So don't use it on your planes. It will not deglue it unless you're talking about a balsa wood plane. And even still on balsa wood, you can pretty just use acetone. So the other thing you can do is you can clean the tips. So now my thumbs are just like new. And when I say like new, torn up and rough from working with my hands. The thing that's nice about that, you can use CA. You don't have to worry about a little teeny bit getting on your skin, and just a cotton ball works really nice. So the next step on this project is gonna be super simple, but I know some of you guys are gonna be a little bit overwhelmed by it if you're not used to doing this. If you're new to the RC stuff, we are gonna hook up the wires, okay? So what do we have to hook up on this plane? It's very simple. We have everything assembled with the exception of this strange, ambiguous box of electronics, okay? So we have established that this is the elevator. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna plug this in. What you wanna do is look for, there's a rail that goes down the side of this thing, right there, and then this lines up with it. Okay, see how that didn't go? See how it didn't go? What you wanna do is look for this little raised part. That raised part is gonna end up in this void, okay? It does not feel supernatural, but it will go, okay? See how that looks? Looks nice and clean, okay? Then the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna make sure that you fit this in here. So you gotta pull this other battery out. That's just a little piece of double-sided tape. So in my case, it did come with 2 batteries. Let's check the batteries and see if they're done. The light is off on the charger, so that means the first battery is done. We were off camera for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, mostly because I spilled my kicker, and we had to clean that up. That's always fun. And the other thing that kicker is good for is taking adhesive off. So keep that in mind. If you glue two different components together with mucilage, kicker will defeat the bond. So you can unglue it, but it also will unglue when you want it to stay glued. So be careful and try to keep it away from stuff like that. Or if you want to keep this sticky, if you want to get rid of that nasty residue, if you take kicker, now you can do this with acetone too, but just get a little teeny bit of kicker on there and this stuff will come right off. And then the next thing you know, you'll have a clean battery, and then you can make a good proper adhesion after you wipe off the little bit of residue from the kicker. Okay, so you see how that's coming off now? It just defeats the adhesive. So these chemicals are all pretty expensive, as you know. This little bottle is like $6 back when I bought it, but then I just buy the bigger bottles. And I have links to all this stuff, guys. It's down in, just look in the description below the video. If you're on a mobile device, it might be above the video. I don't know, wherever it is on your device. But the description is going to tell you what the stuff is that I usually go for. And then I will provide links for everything that's link worthy. So now that we've got that taken care of, we're going to come back to this. You'll notice there's this excess wire. And if you kind of look into that hole there, there's tons of room in there. So you can kind of feed your excess cable back there. Or you can tie it up into this little hole. But you got to leave room for the controller to dip down in there. Okay, so you see kind of my struggle? So you have to leave some room for that. Okay, this is the way that's going to look here in a minute. But obviously we got to get the wing in there. Okay, so the next step for us is going to be to put the wings in. We are going to dry fit everything this time. That's the lower one, so this one goes first. So you're going to do your, that would be your left wing first. Did I say that right? Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. So I believe we want this wire to actually come up here or go down below. I think we're going to go down below, guys. Okay, so do you see how this is going to work, guys? That's going to go right there. Okay? See how that sits? So much better than what I told you earlier. I want that to go back so it doesn't create some strange drag condition. And then this needs to go in here. And then there's a key that it sits into. Okay. So now we need to glue that. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky because you need to make sure your wires are going to end up in a good spot. So I'm going to go ahead and just take note. I can glue this area, and then on the ends. Okay. So I can glue this area, and that little pin, and there, and then along this side. And then just a little bit of this here. And then a little bit of this. Okay, so we're just gonna leave that like that for a second. Kicker will make this a smoother transaction. So I'm gonna just do a little bit of kicker over here. I actually sprayed it that time. And you gotta work quick now. That stuff is probably already set, okay? I'm gonna still hold it for probably 10 seconds. See, we got a really nice bond. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so we're done on that one. And then this one down into this opening here. Okay. So we know that that's going to get plugged into this. So we'll just go ahead and plug it in. There's a little relief on this side. And that's where the little bump goes. Man, that is super small. Okay, so that's plugged in. And then we're gonna do exactly the same thing on the other side. Just remember, you gotta get everything tucked in. You guys look, see it's smoking. See it smoking?
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I can see it in real life.
It smells really strong. So I probably did a little bit more CA than I needed. And if you do too much, then even though this foam will not react with it, you can actually melt it still. So you want to be careful not to get so much in there, because mine kind of spit out the side a little bit. Not a big deal, but if you're going for extreme perfection, then you probably don't want that to happen. So just a warning. Okay, so I want this to be where it's gonna be, even though we're not gonna need it to be there as in glued there. I just wanna know that it's in the correct position so I don't accidentally glue the other side and cause problems for us, okay? So I'm gonna stick this down in there so it's prepared to receive the wing. This kicker's ready. We're gonna dry fit one more time. Okay, so you see my problem then? I do have to plug in the wire before I glue it. So we're gonna do that. Boy, they don't make that very simple, do they?
Nope.
So I grab this wire, I run it through, and it looks like it's plugged in the same direction. Okay, so that's plugged in. So now, because I don't want to be an idiot, I'm gonna test this first, and then that's gonna tell us what's going on for if the plane is going to actually initiate and run the motors before we get committed. Did I already bring over the battery? Yes, I did.
Oh, yeah.
That's the charge one.
Yeah.
So as with any plane, turn on the transmitter first, throttle stick all the way down. This is your elevator and your ailerons. In this case, it's probably not actually an aileron at all, but that's still the axis of control, the roll axis. So black to black, red to red. Plug this in. Power switch is off. I'm gonna turn it on. It probably won't initiate. It may have to be level. I'm just gonna simulate level. And I can tell it's not working. And if I recall, you have to have the radio on first. Excuse me, radio off first on this one. Which is kind of a no-no. Okay, now they're flashing and they're bound together. Okay, so the elevator's working. Now let's just make sure, before I get this all glued together, that things are gonna go in the right direction. Okay, so forward. So as I turn, it's resisting and it's blowing air that way. Same that way. Up, down. Left. Excuse me, left, right. See that pushes this one? Hon, why don't you come over here and shoot it like you're going the same direction as the plane.
Okay.
Okay, so differential thrust. When I move the stick this way, it's gonna force the plane like that. When I move it that way, it's gonna force it that way. But I'm also fighting my gyro. So throttle at 50%. It pushes it this way, it pushes it that way. Okay? So that's all there is to that. Very simple. So we're gonna go ahead and unplug the power now that we've established that it's capable of working. And now we're gonna glue this together now that we've established we have it wired correctly. So in order to glue this last one, we just need to kind of think about where things are gonna sit. Okay, we should be good there. It's actually not a really hard installation, but if you're not used to building these things, I could see how somebody would be a little bit confused, maybe a little annoyed. Because like I said, not especially difficult, it's just more weird. If you're not, could you do this without instructions?
No.
Okay.
It's tiny. That's what gets me, is everything is so small.
Okay, so we'll just stuff this in the hole. Okay, I'm gonna tip it this way so the CA wants to work its way down. I didn't do kicker this time just because there's enough surface area. I don't think I really need it the last time. Okay, so now that we got all those wires in there, we can go ahead and glue in the controls. The controls need to be glued probably just around the outside edge. Okay, so we'll just glue around this edge and around this edge. And all I want to do is just kind of keep things from falling out. It isn't like a super aerodynamically critical part of the plane. I mean, obviously it's important that it doesn't get separated from the plane, but it's attached by like a million different attachment points. And then try to keep your hinge from getting a bunch of glue in it on the batteries. Point. Okay, then we'll just hit that, knock down the CA. Okay, so now on this one, I'm just gonna take this strip and just strip it around the edge. Remember, it'll wick into the cracks. Okay. Okay, so that's glued in there nicely. Feels like maybe we missed the front a little teeny bit. So we're gonna actually just lift that up a hair. Just kind of run it in the front there. And then just kind of push that down in there. And then just get that kicker to run around it, it'll be good. Okay, so that's that. So now it's all glued together. It should be ready to fly as soon as conditions allow. Show them outside real quick. Look at that.
Looks like it's snowing.
That's so cool. It is most definitely not snowing for those of you who aren't sure what season it is. This is spring, and that is cottonwood.
Yeah, probably.
You can definitely see the wind.
Yep. And the clouds. Okay, back to
All
this.
right, so the way you put the landing gear in, there's one that's square. So it goes in like that, and then it's got a little bit of spring to it. Now these ones just stick into each wing. Pretty simple. And then I kind of like the way they did the landing gear on this plane because it's just minimalist. It's not a thing. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get a scale appearance from that. And to be honest with you, I think the 787, I think in real life, the fuse might have, the wing box, I think, hit a little bit forward on this plane. It should have been back just a hair, or maybe the fuse would have been a little bit longer in real life. But there's missing one decal on here. It's a Boeing decal that goes right here, I believe is where that goes. The instruction manual shows it, but they don't actually have it on the box, probably because of a copyright violation. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and apply this Boeing sticker real quick and then finish it off. I think it's gonna go right here.
I think so. I can't find the page again.
So we'll pause it and figure that out and then come right back. Okay guys, so I'm gonna put this decal on here. They're a little bit tricky because they're on backing and then they're upside down and backwards. So I'm using hot water and a sponge. There's a variety of different ways you can do this. This is the easiest way I've done it before in the past because it's a wet transfer. And basically you get this nice and warm and wet. Then you hold it along the airplane, but you don't want to dimple the foam, so you have to be a little bit careful about how long you leave the heat on there. They say to leave it there for like a minute, but I don't know. Kind of depends on how risky you want to be. Because you see how it's like coming out of the sponge? This is the way I've always had good luck with it. Because they're still backing, but it's fronting, it's not backing. If that makes any sense. So you guys see? See, it's gonna transfer. See that label? So I pulled it down. It's the circle around the Boeing, which is like a globe. See, I pulled it down, guys. So you have to be really careful the way you do this. It's just like in the old days when you used to build models. And see, I think that this one is just made wrong because if you put it on this way, the way it should be, to where it's gonna stick, it's actually gonna go on there backward. See how it says Boeing, but it's backward? So this might not work. properly. And that's definitely not going to work properly. So I think I'm going to try this. We're going to just try the warm sponge again, except we're just going to let it sit here. This might not work properly. Just because I think this particular decal is printed backward. Because this is on the wrong side of the backing, so we have to make this so it's wet enough that it slips off. So some people will put it into a shallow bowl of water, and then you can let it sit in there for a minute. And that's probably the easier way to do it on this application, so we'll try that with the other one. And then once that's sat for a minute, what you can do is you can bring this up to the airplane. You can actually slip this off. Believe it or not, it will slide off of the actual plastic. So we're gonna try that. We're gonna put this in a shallow bowl of water and see if we can get that to go.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're doing here is we're just trying to break the surface tension on this decal, and that'll allow it to fall down under the water. You see how it wants to keep floating, guys? That's so annoying. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, I used to do these models and we would do this. The soap will break the surface tension, but it can also interfere with the way the adhesive works. But what will happen is that decal will actually float off of the backing. So usually you need to let it sit there for a while, and then, you know, like have a towel ready so you can dry your fingers, because you won't have your hands ready to go. And then after a few minutes, then that thing will actually separate off, and you can just slip the decal right into the plane and pull the backing off. Okay, so now that that's been sitting there for a minute, if you guys have never done this, this is probably the hardest part of the build process, because you have to be somewhat patient. I'm not. See, it's not wanting to slip well. See, there it started to move. Did you see it, camera crew?
Nope, I'm taking your word for it.
Okay. And I may have already kind of screwed it up, so. But it just doesn't feel like it wants to come off right. And I mean, I've done these years and years ago, so it's been a while since I did it, but you can see how it's kind of starting to come off. You shouldn't really have to force it off like that. See that, guys?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I just didn't use hot enough water or what the deal is, but I'm going to go ahead and run some hotter water. Sometimes if you don't get it hot enough, it won't separate. Not in a timely fashion, at least. And this is what they look like when they come. They're just on a piece of paper backing. And the way I always did as a kid was I just stuck it in the water and let it sit. And then I would pull the backing off, and then I would stick it onto the plane. But this one just doesn't seem to want to cooperate. And so I may be doing without, but you wouldn't necessarily have to do that. So we're going to transfer on some like extremely super scalding hot water. In my experience, the hotter the better. I'm going to see if I can make the best of this screw up. See, and once it relaxes the decal, then the decal will release off of this paper backing, or it's actually plastic backing. And once it's loose, it goes, and it'll go fine. But the thing is, like, I'm not having good luck. See how it's floating to the surface? I'm having trouble keeping it under the water. Okay? And it just does not want to come loose. So I don't know, maybe that's... See that, guys? You can stick that in water. Then you can use the water to try to apply it. But in my case, I probably screwed it up bad enough that it's not going to happen. See? And then you can take this warm rag, or in my case, I use the sponge. See? It looks perfect, guys. So we're going to see if I can get the other side a little bit better, because that looks just really bad. So I'm just going to leave that side off. And what I'm going to do is I'll just show you start to finish on the other one. We have hot water here. We're gonna take the hot water. We're gonna just dip the whole thing in there. We're just gonna let it sit because I think I was just too impatient with it. And then I'm gonna actually take the sponge and I'm gonna just put that over the top. And then we'll come back after like 30 seconds and show you how it looks. Okay guys, so it's been 30 seconds or so, maybe a minute. And so we're just gonna see how that paper helped to keep it down under the water. So I'm sure it'll work perfect. See, the backing is separating, but see, that's not the full, that's not everything, okay? So now remember, that should be going the other way, guys. So like that's wrong, that's backward, okay? So that's supposed to be like this. And so now, what you can hypothetically do is slide this off, but you see it doesn't want to slide off. Normally that would slide off onto the plane. And it would look something like this, which would look pretty nice actually. But it's just, I'm not getting the thing to work, so. We'll try this again, another 30 seconds down the tubes. Okay guys, so it's been another 30 seconds and we're gonna try this again. Basically, you guys have, if you've ever built a plastic model, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is always one of my least favorite parts, is trying to get these little decals to work out. Because you'd see guys that have such good luck on them, and then I'd be the guy that his model would look like crap because the decals would never come off of the backing. But you can kind of see what I'm fighting now. See how it's starting to come off. Okay, so I just need to let it sit for a few more minutes. So we're gonna try it. We'll see if we can have success with at least one. Okay. All right, we're trying again, guys. So this time we waited a really long time. It was like maybe another minute. So yeah, that's right. You total that up, it's been like 7 or 8 minutes just waiting for this one decal. And epic fail. Epic fail, guys. So just to prove to you that I've got this the right direction, you can grab this and you can pull it off. Okay, I'm just gonna, just for grins and giggles, I'm just gonna stick it in the water and see if I can get the water to release it. My guess is it probably won't. See guys, this is frustrating. Because just imagine if that was like your canopy or something like that. I'd be really not happy about that. It does not look like a Boeing logo. So, all right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, the plane came unassembled. I would give it, for that reason, not a 10. And the Boeing stickers sucked, so I would give that an epic fail for that part. But I would say the thing looks really gorgeous. It comes with 2 batteries, comes with a charger. It technically has everything you need except for glue, which, you know, that's kind of a big deal when you're talking about flying a little airplane like this. If you guys are new to the hobby, I kind of doubt you're gonna have that glue. But you can follow the links below and get some ordered as well when you order this. But for now, we have the one 300 milliamp 1S pack. We've got 2 of them charged. This one's gonna go in here, and I have no idea if this is gonna work out there today. But we're gonna give it a shot, guys. We're gonna do it right now. So we're gonna plug this in. That's right, plug in the plane first, which from a standpoint of safety and everything on radio controlled airplanes, you don't wanna get in the habit of doing that, but that's the way this works. The flashing goes solid and then you're ready to rock. Check your elevator, not your throttle first, then throttle. Taxi's good like the 380. Okay, so now we are not gonna fly this inside today. Probably a little bit too fast for that. We're going outside right now. Okay, so guys, I don't know if you can tell from collars blowing in the wind and the trees and the beautiful otherwise look. It's maybe a little bit windy for this little thing, but we're gonna try it. So, there is a button that says rise and a button that says drop. And then there's left and right. And then there's throttle. And you'll notice the elevator goes up when you give it throttle. And then there's this, and I don't know what they do, but we'll find out. So here we go, full throttle. Okay, we'll try to turn it. So far, it seems to be flying a little easier than the Airbus A380. Definitely not super scale. Definitely getting kicked around by the wind, but it is windy to its defense. Out of the throttle, giving it full rudder. Man, that thing looks good for being a little cheapie. It's porpoising like crazy. Jeez. Okay. It kind of does what it wants to do, but it is super windy, guys. The dihedral, between the dihedral and the differential thrust, okay, it's coming back at us here. Out of the throttle, about 15%, just so I can yaw it a little bit better. Whoa, that was, it's gonna be a touch and go. Yeah, that doesn't look scale right now, but you can imagine what it would be like if it did.
Hopefully they have lots of air sickness bags on this
Yeah,
flight.
I think some people are dying in there. All right, I want to see if I can take it out of. It does look good.
Yeah.
Out of the 3G whatever. It's not XK, so we can't use that terminology. That looks pretty awesome. Ooh, touch and go. That's about as fast as you can go in a circle there, guys. It does look really nice up there against the sky, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, full yaw authority. Get about 30% power here, just trying to get it back to the runway. It's fast. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, so I'm gonna go rise. Yeah, it doesn't seem to really do anything. Rise, rise, rise. Okay. Drop, drop. Okay, that doesn't. Okay, that must be for another device. Okay, I'm at about 10% throttle here. I want to see how fast I can bring it down. This is just kind of thumbs on the sticks for security reasons. Giving it some throttle. You lost the landing gear. Oh no. Oh no, the landing gear's gone.
Did we lose it on the touch and go maybe?
That's
we need
possible.
to go look down there?
That's possible. And look, we lost the motor.
Ooh.
See, if that was factory installed, that wouldn't have happened. Man, that motor is hot. It's not happy with me. It does not like my piloting. Well, in closing, guys, I always seem to do these reviews when it's windy, and it is a beautiful plane. I really like the way it looks, less the Boeing logo. Didn't like that so much. The thing flies surprisingly good for how strong the wind is right now. I would say we got 10-mile-an-hour wind with 15-mile-an-hour gusts.
Yep.
And the thing is actually surprisingly well handled given that level. I mean, it's a small plane. So if I went and got one of my UMX planes from Horizon, the thing would be all over the place too today, except for maybe the Timber or the Aero Commander. But this thing is great. I would definitely think about it. It's a little bit more of a time investment than I expected, but it's really pretty cool. And if you took those hokey landing gear off and you just hand launched it on a calm day, I think it'd be gorgeous. So go get one. Thanks for watching, guys.